Hello and welcome to the Other 14 FC podcast. I'm Alex, Crystal Palace fan.
And I'm Tom, a West Ham fan.
And this is your pod for everything not top six. Tired of your team being last on Match of the Day and not getting the flowers that you deserve? Well, that's about to change because we're about to shine a light on those other 14 teams. What do we have this week then, Tom, for the listeners?
So in the second part of our season previews, we're going through the other 14 teams who finished in the bottom half of the table. We've got Fulham, Crystal Palace, Everton, West Ham and Wolves. How you been?
Nice, yeah, all good in all honesty. Just been recovering from a weekend camping, so yeah, it was nice. It was a bit too hot weather-wise, but yeah, it's been nice. It was nice. Well, basically, I'm just filling my weekends with shit until football begins. I feel like we've said it every week doing it, but yeah, I guess just wait until it goes. Like, my weight loss journey's still going strong, which is good. Down another kg in a week. I don't know if that's healthy or safe, but yeah, I'm just wasting away here, I guess.
I love how you've tried to make it seem like next week has passed, despite the fact we're both wearing the same things, and we clearly said we were recording like back after each other, and I'm not letting you edit it out. Like we're continuing with it. I meanwhile haven't gone forward a week in time. I'm very much still the same.
God damn it! Why didn't I think about the clothes? I completely forgot because we took that break and
Because it doesn't matter. I thought we were just going to go crack on, but you decided nope. We're gonna lie and pretend that we're a weekend ahead.
Completely don't know why I did that. So stupid. But yeah, well, that's my plans for this weekend. Going camping. Oh my god, I'm gonna edit that out somehow. But yeah.
No, you're not. I won't let you.
Oh god, cool. But yeah, no, that's because you asked me how my week went. That's why I thought I was on the spot and I had to lie. How's your week been, mate?
I don't know, it hasn't happened yet, mate.
Oh, that's what caught me off guard. Cool, okay. So yeah, do we need a break or do we just go into our
Let's have a quick break.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, we're back out of our time. I'm out of my time machine of bullshit. Get into some more team reviews. I'm starting this time with Fulham. Fucking hell, I've fallen to pieces in this last 20 minutes.
That time machine's done a number on you, mate.
It really has. Cool. I'm starting with Fulham, who finished 11th with 54 points, with a 0 goal difference, and top scorer Jimenez with 12 goals. I believe we have Hugo from Fulham Fan TV to give us an insight of what he's expecting for the upcoming season.
Alright guys, Fulham Fan TV here. I'm going to be talking about my expectations and predictions for Fulham in the season 25-26 for the Premier League for the Other 14 podcast. Here we go. Firstly, I'm going to be talking about my expectations. What I finally want Fulham to achieve is hitting that mark to get Europe, whether it be Conference League, Europa League, or even go far and behold the Champions League. Something that Fulham can qualify for, but in Europe would be amazing for us. We've been pushing for it for the last 3 seasons we've been in the Prem. Straight from the get-go, we've been in the race for Europe. We finished 10th in our first season with Marco back in the Prem. Then we sunk down a bit lower to 13th and now 11th. This previous season was the one that we could have got it. We were in a race, a very, very tight one. But we always have a fall-off at the end of the season. So my expectations for Fulham is to be able to have that stamina to push for Europe till the end. I also expect Fulham to make some clinical signings. I believe that we need another striker as Carlos Vinicius is gone. We need a new starting left winger. I love Alex Iwobi, but I do think that we need speed and pace on that left wing. And at the moment, he's not providing us the fight and the pace that we need. I believe that we also need a central midfielder. One of the most important roles that we need is a box-to-box one. I really want Douglas Luiz from Juventus. I think he'll be hard to get as other Premier League clubs still want him, but he would be my top choice for a box-to-box midfielder. And we also need a new backup goalkeeper who can try and rival Leno. We recently signed Peter Cech's son, so we'll see where that goes. I reckon he'll be a very, very good prospect for the future. My predictions are a bit different for Fulham. My prediction is we will go far in a domestic run. So I think either that be the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, but I don't think we're going to win it. I think we need more experience. We need just a few better improvements in certain areas to be able to win a domestic trophy. I think in the Premier League we can push. I think we'll finish between the 10th and 7th mark. I think that we have the experience. I think that we can try and beat our points tally again. And we'll see where it goes. Thank you very much. Please follow the Other 14 podcast. Give me a follow, and I'd appreciate that very much. Fulham Fan TV.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Hugo. And yeah, like you said, give Fulham Fan TV a follow also. We'll put links to hit that in the show notes as well for everyone to go ahead. But yeah, I think Hugo had a very level head with everything he said there about Fulham and what to expect and how last season went, in all honesty. If I take it away to begin with, saying he was looking for them to go deep in a cup competition, I think they were really unlucky this year not to go deep in a cup competition. I do feel like it was a fork in the road, that quarter final we had with them, and I think whichever team won that game was going to go, well, probably more towards the final, because it just felt like those teams were pushing it so hard that year. I would agree with pretty much everything Hugo said about Alex Iwobi. Probably isn't the player that's going to be doing the business there. They do need someone to shore it up in midfield a bit more for them, or get box to box like he said, and then it's just being a bit, just not dropping off towards the end of the season. Would you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Hugo said, really. I think they've embedded themselves as a Premier League team again after promotion, achieving sort of 10th, 11th, 13th finishes. And now is the time to build on that, sort of better than survival has, but starting to look up into the top 10 and maybe or a deep cup run. I think you nailed it, where that game against Palace in the FA Cup was really a fork in the road. I think Fulham started the game really well, and if they'd have got a goal, then maybe their season could have been really different. But unfortunately, they haven't been able to achieve the consistent results over the year, and that's why they've fallen off from a few months before the end of the season. It's they're in the hunt for one of those Conference League or maybe Europa League slots, and then so by the time of the end of the season, they've dropped too many results, or they've I remember towards the end of last season, we couldn't pick Fulham games because every time we'd pick them to win, they'd lose, and then every time we'd pick them to lose, they'd end up winning against Liverpool and such, and it was really frustrating to and it must have been really frustrating for Fulham fans to be because I do think one thing about Fulham is they have a very talented squad. I think the floor of their squad is really high. I don't see them finishing any lower than 12th this season. I think the defence is good, Bassey, Anderson, Anthony Robinson, Leno's a solid goalkeeper. I think even sort of having Iwobi come into as more of a midfield role, and then getting a more speedy sort of winger. They're not hopefully calling Willian out of retirement again towards the end of the season, but they've got talented players even Rodrigo Muniz and Raul Jimenez up top, sort of thing. But it's really, for me, for Fulham, is can they break through the ceiling of where they've been these past 3 years? What do they need to crash through that to be consistent enough to get that one of those Europa spots, or consistent enough to get into the latter stages of the cups?
That's the real question, isn't it? Because you look at their squad, and I guess last season they tried to basically fill spots with good Premier League squad players, and they built a foundation. I think we maybe spoke when we started the pod, thinking, okay, they've got a team on paper, a squad even on paper, that you think could probably do the business, but we discovered throughout the season a lot of them were underperforming at key points and whatnot. So yeah, it's interesting to see I guess if we could answer what that magical thing is to get them to that next stage. I can't tell what it is. I honestly can't.
I mean, it's probably an elite central midfielder, as Hugo sort of says, a Douglas Luiz kind of player in the centre of that park, who's really dominant. That's someone that I'd be really looking at, and as Douglas, as Hugo also says, a left winger that's a proper Premier League a floor raiser. He's going to have those games where he absolutely runs them. They're hard to come by, of course, but they need to sort of go out and try and get one of those, because Reece Nelson wasn't it Emil Smith-Rowe's not really it. Like, maybe a number 10, but I think you can get away with like Pereira and Smith-Rowe. Like, if you can have someone in the centre of the park who's a bit more sort of like consistent, like and a bit more floor raiser, might let them relax a bit more and like contribute a little bit more sort of going forward. I do think though, like if we review it, like this is like they've got to these sort of like 10th, 11th, 13th finishes, half runs in the cup. Is this Marco Silva's sort of ceiling? Like, I think he's a good manager. I think he's like easily a cut above like relegation manager, but is he a European, like is he going to take Fulham over the line into a European slot? Like, I don't think there's any talk about Fulham fans wanting him out or anything like that, because they know things can be a lot worse off. But I do think at some point you start going, all right, well, they've got a pretty decent squad. Say they make a couple of those big keys or marquee signings and they still don't achieve a European slot next season, then maybe you start to look at Marco Silva and go, has he taken the team as far as he can? Or do Fulham fans go, well, no, we're happy with where we are for now, give it another couple of years. Like, maybe there's not as much of a rush to get to that end point, because they're only 3 seasons removed from promotion, so they might still have those sort of feelings. Like, I might be a little bit more comfortable, similar to sort of how Palace were for so many years. Like, they were very sort of comfortable just keeping survival, ticking along each year, slowly building a decent squad to where they are now.
Well, I didn't really want to say it, but it did feel like that. It's always like, okay, we've got the platform, how do we build on it? And until last season, if I'm being brutally honest, I didn't think it was possible to build on it. And then all my dreams came true. In the saddest statement probably ever to come out of my mouth. But yeah, you know what? I see Fulham going on a bit. Do I see them going on a bit of a run? It's hard. It's hard because of what Fulham put us through last season with our predictions. It's hard to gauge what it's going to be like. Let's see how they kick off next season, how it all goes. But I'm probably expecting a bit of inconsistency still, depending on what signings they bring in. Yeah. Any other anything else you want to touch on Fulham before we move on to Palace?
No, let's go to Palace. I'll give them a quick intro and then you can take it away. So Crystal Palace finished 12th last season in the league, 53 points and a 0 goal difference, obviously with a massive caveat that they won the FA Cup. Top scorer in the league was Jean-Philippe Mateta with 14 goals, and I will hand it over to you as our resident Palace fan.
Yeah, I guess a lot of what I'm worried about next season is the come down of last season, if I'm being completely brutally honest. Like, we've had, like I literally said, all my dreams come true. We're going to have European football, whether it's Europa League or Conference League, like obviously not known at the moment. I feel like being Conference League could take the shine off it for some Palace fans, which I hope it doesn't. But I don't think we've got enough signings in yet to be able to do both those tournaments. Like, I back Glasner with the right tools and the right squad to probably go on to win the Conference League and go very deep in the Europa League. But we need to sell we need to sell a player. We need to sell one of our top players, get that money in, and get like 5 players in to fill in like squad positions. If I'm being brutally honest, I was certain it was going to be Mark Gahey going at the beginning of the window. Like, I had him going to Liverpool, like, odds on, just get that business done early doors, move on. But the longer the window's going on, the more I'm thinking Mark might not be the one going because of the World Cup coming up in the summer. Like, he might just see out his contract and leave at the end of the year for free, and Liverpool probably happier with that. So, like, turning the eyes to the other player that I think we probably need, I don't want to lose him, but we probably need to lose him for the money, is Ebbs, unfortunately. Like, absolute Palace legend, like, will go down in history for scoring that goal in the FA Cup final. Like, he's on my wall in my living room now. Like, that's how much I love the guy. But we need some money to rebuild the squad if we want to compete in Europe. And that's me being pessimistic, me being realistic. Maybe I'm being a bit of a downer because I'm in the off-season. I'm trying to, like, stay away from Palace stuff as much as possible. But just being a realist, if we want this model where we buy players in the Championship or buy players for young, we then sell them for high value, we need to sell someone now. Just to build that squad for next year, because our current signings we brought in a new goalkeeper for a bit of competition for Henderson, who, yeah, Henderson's got a bad injury record, but he was the hero of last season. Signed a left back for some competition for Mitchell now. Chilwell's gone, which is good, but still he's a 27-year-old Croatian geezer Sosa, who I'd never heard of, if I'm being brutally honest. So we just need more. We need more bodies in, and we need to get over this European shit quickly. Like, if we let that drag into the season, like go into the Conference League, lose that playoff, I know Palace fans, and they'll soak a bit, if I'm being honest. We'll soak at the beginning of the season. We'll be like lowest us UEFA, a bunch of money grabbing, corrupt arseholes, and we'll play on that the whole season. I don't want that to be what it is, because we have probably our greatest ever manager in charge now. I don't want us to sell a player. I want us to keep all our best players, but I want us to be able to generate revenue to bring in the best squad possible to give Glasner in a European competition and to finish high in the Premier League with him, because he's not going to be staying around for long. Like, someone's going to snap him up quickly. So, yeah, maybe I should be more positive, but I think everyone that listens to this and has listened to me knows how pessimistic I am about everything. But for once, yeah, I'm just trying to be real about it all. And yeah, let me know if I've been too much of a downer there, Tom. But
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I think the big thing that you've sort of pointed out that is a challenge is that you're in this position where you've got European football, but you're having to sell to buy. When with the arrival of European football, you immediately need another 4 or 5 squad players at least. So putting you in a really tough position. You would hope that the added income from being in a European competition would be enough for you to get three of those players in.
Tom, this is half the problem with the Conference League and Europa League stuff. So if we are in the Europa League and you get the group stages, you get straight into the group stage. You get 3 or 4 guaranteed home and away games, and that's revenue coming in. With the Conference League, you go into the playoff where you only guarantee 2 games, so you don't know if you do have that money to fall back on, which is another problem. Why I want us to know what's going on, so we know the money we have going into it. Like, it's all good being linked with players, but if we can't afford them, like, yeah, it's been frustrating, and I think, like, you've heard it, my frustrations come out there a bit. Like, I'm not annoyed about where we end up, I just want it to be clear where we are, so we can move on with it. But,
yeah, one thing I would worry about the departures, and if you're losing, like, Eze, and if you lose Mateta's being linked out, like Gahey, like
Mateta. I think that Mateta one, I've seen that before with his agent. I think that's just linking because he's done in 2027 for us, and I can see that's just wrangling for like a mega deal to go into his last few years. I think it's madness seeing him linked.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. But like, if you lose Gahey and Eze, say like worst case scenario, like obviously you think you're only going to lose one. But if you lose 2 of that, like those 2 players, no amount of like squad players that you get in or even replacements are going to come in and just like immediately like replace them. Like, the importance they have to Palace, and an emotional importance as well. Like, I think all Palace fans feel so much more comfortable when Gahey's at the back, like he's a rock, whereas and when Eze's like in form, like springtime ebbs sort of thing, like that, like Palace fans are like really confident when you have those 2 to build around. And if you lose them, you're bringing in complete unknown, like might like strike lucky and someone comes in and replaces them really well, but more often than not you're probably not going to get the same kind of output.
I don't think we can lose both. I think we can't lose both, but we have to lose one. Like, if I'm being real, we're a club that can't generate that much money from like gate revenue because we can't build a new stand at Selhurst Park. We have an owner structure that's a bit all over the place, and it's been well documented now over the summer. And it's
So my positive spin will be, and I think you referred to it, like Glasner has precedence in Europe. So regardless of which competition you get into, if it's the Europa Conference League and you have to do a playoff, I think that'll be fine. Like the quality of the opposition you'll be playing in a playoff should be beatable for Crystal Palace. And like Glasner has done it with Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League, beating West Ham in the semi-final, got them to like beating Barcelona in the round before us, and then winning in the final. Like, he built a team that again didn't have a lot of squad depth. Like, it was generally a lot of players playing Thursday, Sunday, like Bundesliga and the Europa League, but he had them drilled really well, which is similar as he had Palace. Like that team drilled really well towards the end of the season with the FA Cup run. I don't think there's any sort of worry about relegation with Glasner in charge. Like, I think even if you do struggle with like balancing Thursday, Sunday, if you don't manage to build out the squad, or you're not able to because of this UEFA stuff taking too long, and then transfer windows running out, you maybe don't get the players that you might have wanted. I think you can trust in Glasner that you will have a sort of run, like get out of the group stage in either competition, and then I think another probably mid-table finish in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I'm against the manager being the most important person at a football club because it takes him leaving and it falls apart. But I just think this year, with European football in place, we have to back Glasner. Like, we have to back him with what he wants, because he is probably the most important thing at our club right now, which I know is a complete contradiction of what I just said, but what he did last year was the impossible for Palace fans, and I think you've got to give him the best chance to do what he can next year, and then plan for what happens after he leaves. Like, because like I said, I don't think he'll be there for long. But yeah, my prediction for next season, what I'll be happy with, is also hard to answer, because, like I say, like my whole thing for the last, since 2016, that FA Cup final, the only thing I've ever wanted to do or watch my team do before I die was watch them lift the FA Cup, and they did it. And it's hard to say what I want next year. I'm generally a bit worried going to games. Like, am I going to have the same like joy or same like willpower to go to games? Like, I will, because the whole thing for me is going to football games with my mum, and like go and sell us, like, will be 100% that. Having some European away days in mad places, that would be it. But then I'm like, am I going to get the same willpower to be going to away games like I did before? I mean, it was seasonal start and I'll be completely back to normal. But yeah, maybe it's just my being a bit down in the off season with everything.
It will feel slightly different. I can tell you that from a West Ham perspective, like having won the Conference League, and was like, all right, the next season. But it was also fun because we were singing Champions of Europe and pissing off all the away fans every week. So yeah, it will feel different, but I think it will be good still.
Yeah, I think once the season gets going, I'll stop being all doom and gloomy about Palace. But yeah, it's not been the best few weeks for us in the media and everything as well. But yeah, I feel like I've probably talked way too much about Palace there. So should we move on to Everton?
Yeah, let's go for Everton.
Nice. So Everton finished 13th with 48 points and a -2 goal difference, and their top scorer was Ndai with 9 goals altogether. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a voice note or anyone to write in about Everton, so once again you'll just have to listen to us give our insights of what we thought. So yeah, Tom, do you want to take it away, since I rambled for long enough on Palace there, and everyone's probably sick of my voice?
Sure. So obviously the big thing for Everton this year is the new stadium. How they settle, like, obviously it's same city and everything, but like it's going to be a new like match going experience for the fans, a new like getting ready, like you hope, and everything looks amazing from it. They've had like good test events, it seems, but let's see what that's like.
Well, best person to ask is you, isn't it? How, because are West Ham the most recent team to do that in recent memory in the Premier League?
Tottenham moved after us, but it's a hard comparison, because Everton have purposefully built this stadium, and from everything that I've seen, like it's trying to sort of keep that old school football stadium vibe that Goodison Park was, where like the fans are close to the pitch and it's like quite quite like steep seating so that fans feel like they're on top of things, which, as you know, is complete opposite to the London Stadium, where we've got a running track and retractable seating and stuff, and it's all very sort of like, bring your binoculars sort of thing. So like, I think Everton's transfer to the new stadium will much likely be a lot smoother than ours was, and in Moyes they've got someone with a head of like not necessarily doing that transfer, but being at a team with this big stadium and maybe increased expectations, because I do think for Everton that this summer, like with the new stadium, with the sort of successful return of David Moyes, like the last few months of the season, building sort of like getting good results and everything, they should probably be finally not looking at relegation, like as they have been for what feels like 4 or 5 years now. Like every pre-season, speaking to Everton fans, they've been like, yeah, we're going to struggle again, we'll be lucky to survive sort of thing. Whereas I think this might be the summer and there might be the season where they could start to be like, well, we finished 13th last year, Moyes had us not battling relegation right until the last moment. Could we be looking at a mid-table finish?
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. I think if they were moving to this new stadium and didn't have David Moyes in charge, then I'd be quite worried for them. But as you know better than most people as well, with David Moyes, he's going to keep them solid. He's going to be able to build them that platform, even if it is not going to be the most entertaining football at times. There'll be the dreadful 0-0 draws just to get over the line in games. But if that builds you the platform to get into the top half, well, stay in the league and then push forward to get into the top half of the table, I think all Everton fans would probably take a bit of stability rather than
100%. Yeah, madness. Absolutely. I think Everton fans have been crying out for mid-table stability for years now. Like, they're a very emotional bunch, and they've really struggled with it, with the Dyche years and that.
Yeah, as you say, get stability, but then they've had some brilliant moments over that time as well. Not the moments you want to be in. And yeah, to be fair, I've seen enough and talked to my Everton mates enough to know that, yeah, it has been pulsating stuff sometimes. But yeah, I think that is like what you touched on. It's just the main stuff to take for Everton this year, isn't it? Just settle into the new stadium and David Moyes hopefully keeping it strong.
Yeah, I suppose the only other thing really worth mentioning for them is just like how big of a transfer window this is going to be because of how many outgoings they had at the end of last season. And
oh my God, I forgot all about that. That's not even being covered really in the media anymore, has it? Just like...
Not really. Like Calvert-Lewin was like one that they were trying to re-sign, and then it seems like that's not going to happen anymore. Like, I think they managed to get Gay to sign in like a year or two contract, which is okay, but he's 35 now, sort of thing. Like they're looking to buy. I think they've got a young Villarreal striker, Tierney Barry or sort of Barney or something that's signed. Yeah, but like it's still gonna they're gonna do a lot of business before the end of the summer, and it's like that's another complication on top of moving to the stadium. Is like that team that finished the end of the season is going to look very different for Everton, I think, than the team that finishes next season, for example. Like,
yeah, 100%. I guess Moyes is the manager you want in that situation as well, really, because no matter what he gets given, he's been probably given enough shit at enough clubs to just be like, deal with what you can here. Not a slight there at you, mate. Like, but you know what I mean? It's like what Roy had to deal with us for years, and it was like, oh yeah, we spent no money, here's the dross we have left over, make it work. And it's just like, he won't complain, he'll get down and do it. So yeah, I'm not too worried for Everton at all. Cool. Okay, shall we move on to your club? I'll give you an intro and then let you ramble like I did about mine. So we have West Ham, who finished 14th with 43 points and a minus 16 goal difference, and top scorer, none other than Jared Bowen with 13 goals. So go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, this is a big season for West Ham, having moved on from David Moyes last year and hiring Julian Lopetegui, which was abysmal from start to finish, despite having a very expensive transfer window last summer, bringing in loads of sort of high-profile names. And from the outside and on paper, everything looked like West Ham could really build on what Moyes had left and like challenge for one of those European spots. And it just never looked like that on the pitch. Like, as soon as we started playing, it was like, man, we're going to struggle this year. Like, they were just like no real evidence of what the players were being told to do, and it was a real slog. And there were so many games where they would lose a couple of goals and then completely lose their heads. There was never any fight back in those days under Lopetegui. So in comes Graham Potter in January, and this is I've dubbed as the Potter pressure time, because we didn't necessarily have that new managerial bounce. It was a struggle throughout the rest of the season. And like, one thing that I do say about that is like it is not what you would deem a Potter squad. Like what he did so well at Brighton, and what Brighton do so well obviously, is like the scouting and the young players, like that they can imprint a lot of tactical like nuance to, but also they've got the energy to run about the pitch and do all of these like different things. Whereas at West Ham, he had the oldest squad in the league, and had like no legs in his midfield, like no one who could run about, like evidenced by James Ward-Prowse getting outrun by Arsenal's goalkeeper when chasing for a ball that Ward-Prowse had like a 10-yard head start on. Like, I like Ward-Prowse, he's great at set pieces, but him, Edson Alvarez, Thomas Souček, Carlos Soler, none of them had the legs that you needed from a central midfielder. And at the London Stadium, where the pitch is so big, that legs energy becomes even more vital. So we've got Freddie Potts back on loan from Portsmouth, who I'm really hoping to see get a run or get some game time this year. He's West Ham through and through, so I'm always looking to get someone from the academy in the team. We call ourselves the Academy of Football because we pride ourselves on that. I think if you ask a lot of West Ham fans what they want to see from the team is a successful bleeding of academy players into the first team, and then playing some decent, attractive football and achieving mid-table to European slot every couple of years or so. I don't think that's a lot to ask, whilst I don't think that's necessarily going to come this season, given some of the other teams who are better placed to do so. What we need to see, and probably pretty sooner rather than later, is clear progression from the squad and clear progression of what Potter wants them to do. We've seen the departure of Mohamed Kudus, who is officially dead to me, unfortunately. He has gone to an awful team and says that he only had Spurs in his heart. Yeah, mate, it's the only team who were even going to pay a penny for you. So goodbye, Kudus. I burnt the scarf.
I'm surprised you got so much money for him as well. I would say you pulled Spurs' pants down a bit with that deal.
I'll take the 55 mil, give it, and someone put it into good context. It's like, well, you look at what Mbuemo's going for, you look at what Cunha went for, like Elanga. All three of them had better seasons than Kudus did last year, and Kudus came in and did amazing in the first 6 months when he was at West Ham, like not last season, the season before. But then since then, from about January that year and the last season, he was pretty abysmal at times. Like he does, he do some good runs, but he had next to no end quality in that spell, and arguably he was played out of position at times. But at the end of the day, the club said, all right, well, we think your best position is right wing, and we've got Jared Bowen, who is arguably one of the best players in the league, not even just in the other 14. So we're going to sell you and go with Bowen, of course. But it'd be interesting to see how we line up. I think Potter wants to stick with a 3-5-2 kind of formation. We've just signed, literally after we recorded, a Senegalese left wing back called El Hadji Diouf.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been linked with him all of last summer, all of this summer, and then I saw you guys were going to get him, and I was like, well, why the fuck haven't we got him? But yeah, I've seen his highlight packages and shit because we've been linked with him so much. And yeah, he's a pretty decent player. He's a bit old now, am I right? Is he
No, he's young. He's like 21, I think. Very, very young.
Where did he come from? Is it
Slavia Prague?
Oh, Prague. My God, I'm all over the place with it. I'm thinking of the other geezer as well. But yeah, we were linked with him a lot as well, and I think he could prove to be a good signing for you. I mean, I hope he does. So we did well missing out on him. But yeah.
No, I'm excited by him, but I think there's going to be a few more key additions, and maybe another. We might see Paqueta go after his seemingly at the time of recording that he's going to be found innocent, and then that he might look to sort of like bookmark this stage of his career and move off, whether it's back to Brazil or maybe a European team who are in the Champions League or something might be after him. But once that case is all sort of like closed and sealed off sort of thing. But if not, I'm sure Potter enjoyed working with Paqueta over the last few months, so I'm sure there's a place for Paqueta in the squad if he wants to stay. We've got Crescencio Somerville coming back from injury. Nicholas Füllkrug's starting the summer fit. Like, let's hope that he can give us something this season, but also we've got to be looking at finding a younger striker to mix with him and someone for the future as well, because as at the time of recording, Antonio's not signed his new his contract offer of a year, because we're basically giving him a pay as you play sort of like deal, given he broke his leg and that. So and Danny Ings is gone, so we absolutely need to find a striker and add to the list of 49 other names of West Ham strikers over the past decade.
I was going to say, you got no trouble finding strikers, mate. You're fine at doing that.
We'll find the wrong one.
Just not good ones. Like.
Yeah, we'll absolutely find the wrong ones, but we need to find the right one for once.
But my main question before we move off of West Ham for you is, do you think West Ham fans are able to like bookmark, like box off last season, just be like, that's done, we'll move into this next season and give Potter a clean slate? Or do you think that first home game you have, the pressure's on Potter from the beginning? If you lose that and then don't put in a performance, do you think his head's on the chopping block? Not maybe from not maybe from the board, but maybe from the fans. Do you think it could turn sour quite quickly, or not?
I probably say yes. There's definitely the chance that it does. Like I think we have Chelsea in our first home game, which is going to obviously be a tough one. They seem to be really good right now. We'll see what they're like in the season, but Potter obviously wants to get one over on his old employers, but that's going to be a difficult challenge. So yeah, I mean, we've got Sunderland on the first game of the season. We expect to get a result out of that, but going away to a promoted team on the first weekend of the season might be a banana skin.
Banana skin, yeah, just like you say. What do you think? What do you have looking into the season that's giving you hope at the moment, do you think?
Bowen, Wan-Bissaka,
yeah.
Diouf signing. I think we bring in Freddie Potts, and there's also a young George Earthy who had a little bit of a spell in the Premier League with us the season before, towards the end of the season, and then did pretty well at Bristol City in the Championship last season, sort of more as an impact substitute. But if we can get a bit of like young blood involved, like rejuvenate the midfield a little bit and get a striker. But realistically, prediction wise, I'm looking at a upper bottom half of the league finish and really just improvement on the pitch, like seeing some good football, because people love to mock West Ham fans for essentially getting rid of David Moyes, but some of the football that we played under Moyes was pretty turgid at times, and especially the last sort of like 6 months of that season before he left, it was god awful. Like, we were in relegation form. It was not like we were even getting the results. We were just in pure relegation form and not playing well at all. So I think a lot of West Ham fans just want to see a return to playing some good football, which we did see under Moyes at times, but that's Potter's big remit, is turn the side into a younger, more attractive playing, and do some more interesting things than we've seen.
Yeah, I can see that for you as well. Like, Paul will hopefully get you going. It's just improvement. I mean, I went through that stuff with Roy, watching some of the worst football you've ever seen in your life, and for me as a Palace fan, I was always there like, well, this is what we need to do just to stay in the league. But I feel like that's not really a place that West Ham's ever going to be anymore, really, is it? It's not really.
Well, we've been up for 13 years now, 13 years, so really we are a very established team in the Premier League. Like, obviously, any relegation can happen. It almost happened for us this season. If there were a stronger promoted side, who knows? I do think, as we sort of discussed in our previews for the promoted teams, they're probably one or two of them might be a bit stronger than we've seen in the last couple of years. So it's definitely wary, keeping an eye below us. I'm not just completely looking up the table, but I do think we've got a talented enough squad that we should be safe, and like we should have our like main focus on getting up the table, finishing a bit higher, and then with just having one eye on not falling into a trap.
Yeah, 100%. The one thing I'm going to make sure happens this season is that you're sat inside Selhurst Park for the West Ham Crystal Palace game.
I told you I'm never doing that again.
You fucking are, because I'll give listeners an insight. When me and Tom met, 3 years ago, we decided to go to basically Palace, West Ham 2 years in a row. Both those years it was 4-3 and 5-2, 5-3, and Tom was in home end for both of those and had a rotten time. The third year he decided not to come, and he beat us 2-0. So I'm making sure you're in that stadium.
So I am never coming to Selhurst Park unless you want.
Dragging you through into that. But yeah, cool. Okay, and then I guess let's move on to our last team to have our pre-season review on who's Wolves, who finished 16th with 42 points, minus 15 goal difference, and top scorer was Cunha for him with 15 goals, who's now sadly left the club for United for some mad reason.
I suppose that's the big question for Wolves, isn't it? Is can they replace Cunha and also Aït-Nouri, who went to Man City?
I don't think they needed to replace. Yes, they did. I'm being a bit facetious, I guess. Like, I know we touched on bits where it was like maybe they're playing well without Cunha, but yeah, he was their star man. He kept them in games and won them games at the beginning of the season under Gary O'Neill, where he was their only talisman. Aït-Nouri going in, I'm quite worried about that one, in all honesty. Maybe I'm not that clued in with some top 6 football transfers, but I didn't really see that one coming. So when he did go, I was a bit surprised, and yeah, that leaves a big hole in there. Well, on their left side, he is left-sided, left back. Yeah. Fucking, I knew that. And then, it leaves a gap there, losing probably their 2 best players, would you say?
Yeah, I would arguably say that those are their 2 best, their standout players. But I think they do have pieces to build on. So the names that come to mind are Strand Larsen, who they turned his loan into a permanent deal after I think he got 12 goals over the season. Especially a lot of those coming in that sort of run towards the end of this, from sort of January onwards. Once Pereira took charge, Strand Larsen really came into his own. The midfield duo of Andre and João Gomes, like really, really good. Like I think they complement each other really well. They cover so much space. Like they're really sort of like both of them have got that dog in them, and they will like put in it like go full force into tackles as well as being comfortable on the ball and turning things over, like dropping into defence and such. And then the one defender that I would call out is Emmanuel Agbadou. Like he seemed like a rock that they could build on, and someone that had a good. I think he came in January, so like sort of like came in and settled pretty well. And I think he's someone that is definitely a quality centre back in the Premier League. So they've got some pieces there, but I'm not sure if they can replace Cunha, and I don't necessarily like the options that they have because they play such a specific like 3-4-2-1 formation, similar to Palace do. But those like 2 behind Strand Larsen are so important, and Cunha was so effective in that role. And the replacements they've got like Manetzi and Bellegarde, like they're okay, they're young, they're talented, but I don't trust them to replace that level of Cunha. So they might have to be looking elsewhere. Sarabia's not gone as well. He left on a free.
It's a tough one really for Wolves, isn't it? I think you touched on in your notes as well. Like obviously going on that winning run, which was great for them and kept them in the league, that could get fans' expectations up. And if it goes bad to begin next season as well, it could go into that era, that feeling when Gary O'Neill was coming to the end there.
I really bought that run when it was happening. Like I was like the type of football that they were playing. Like they were finishing really well. They were exceeding their XG, but like they were like I believed in the run. I thought that it was something that they could build on. It was sustainable. But then towards the end of the season, once they'd achieved survival, they really just dropped off and almost just like were like done with the season. And And it's like, all right, now in hindsight, was that winning run a catfish, or was it something to build on? Like, time will only tell. But as we've said, with like losing those sort of key players and the end of the season, if they had ended on that 7 winning run, or even if they just have ended on a 3-game winning, like they hadn't ended it so poorly, maybe I might feel a little bit better about them. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one at the moment.
I think it's going to be a tough one for him. I don't see him going down, but I think it might be a bit of a tough one. It's interesting to see how like Victor Pereira's season goes when he gets a full season, gets a pre-season with the team as well. So it'll be interesting. What do you think for a Wolves fan is going to be a good finish for him? Maybe top of the bottom half?
Even that, I think at the moment I'll be looking at 15th, like 14th. Like I think just like a season where they're not looking down so much as they were this season. Like prior to that winning run, they were in it. Like they were fully worried. Yeah. So like I think a season where they're not doing that is a progression for them, because I don't think they're necessarily going to make all the personnel replacements in one season that they need to start looking at mid-table.
No, I can't see that either, unless there's a big flurry at the end of the window. But it seems like they've just, well, they have got the money, but it seemed like they needed to get some outgoings going as well. Yeah,
I mean, it's difficult to replace like those key players as well. Like same thing we were saying about Palace and that. Like it's all well and good getting the money in to replace them, but you need someone new to come in, settle, like kick it, like replace such an impactful player. It's a big ask.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like with Palace and with Brentford, if you're that model, you need to finally use that model, don't you? And I don't know if Wolves are doing that themselves, but yeah. Cool, okay, I think that's about time to wrap up there, unless you have anything else on Wolves.
No.
Nice, cool. So yeah, as usual, rate and review the podcast and tell your friends. Hopefully next season we'll have voice notes and maybe videos from every team, because we struggled a bit this year. But yeah, other than that, next week we'll be looking to do previews for the next season. Is that correct? So we're going to have our predictions, sorry. That's the right keyword.
That's the word you're looking for. Yeah, we're going to predict our tables, so we'll go 1 to 20 and we'll call the Premier League, the top 6 teams, something like their Football Manager names.
Yeah, nice, cool. And then yeah, if you've enjoyed that and want to get in touch, feel free at socials, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Reddit at other14FC podcast, and email at other14podcast@gmail.com. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, have a good one, Tom. I'll catch you next week.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.